Hello, Unitarian Universalists of Door County. It's wonderful to be speaking with you today. And I'm so proud and honored to introduce to you my friend, Mariia Panchenko from Ukraine. Mariia and I met, I believe it was the summer of 2019, when Mariia was a camper at a camp that I helped co-direct in a suburb of Kyiv that you've probably heard about in the news, UPenn. But even after that, Mariia and I kept in touch and did several, works and projects together that were really, I think, just examples of how inspiring Mariia is and how hardworking and dedicated the youth of Ukraine are to making their country and the world a better place. Mariia has graciously agreed to talk with us today about kind of her background, what her life was like previous to the invasion of Russia on Ukraine on February 24th, and what she's witnessing and living like today. So Mariia, it's wonderful to see you, and thank you for being with us today.
Thank you, Holly. It's a pleasure for me now to be here. Shortly about me, I live in a very, very small town near Russian border. So my town isn't occupied, but still the situation is not that good here. But I'm staying home because I believe that people need me and that I can help them. I am a law student. I'm second year law student at my home university in Kyiv-Mohyla Academy, but I'm also studying political science in Giessen in Germany. So for me, all these events happening now are really important, not only for my personal life, but also for my studies and the things that are going on with the international war, with humanitarian aid, are specifically the subject I'm studying in my university. Unfortunately, everything was stopped when the war started, so I don't have any university now, and I don't have any specific work with stable like money coming to my pocket, but I'm staying here because I realized that the power is in people. And when I hear that my friend in Sumy, that is really roughly bombarded even at this very moment, tells me that it's so important to feel that someone is behind our backs and someone is helping us with even preparing some food for people who are defending my country. I understand that it's not just about, heroism, that I don't want to leave my home just because it's my home. I understand that it's important for people who are literally defending my hometown, not being bombarded by Russian planes. I knew that the war would start before it started, and I guess that most people in Ukraine understood at that moment that the war would start at some point. And in the middle of January, I was really stressed. I was so panicked that, oh my gosh, like military troops are going so close. And I didn't want war, obviously. And it was really stressful because I understood how painful and how difficult it would be. Because it's not only about deaths and about bombarding like civil buildings, like schools, hospitals. It's about big trauma on people's minds. And even those people who never heard bombardments like me, like personally, I never saw any kind of military troops in my street. It's kind of calm here in my hometown, but the fact that I'm living in this state of war all this time I feel that it plays a great role on how my mind comprehends everything.
Yeah.
And I believe that many people, even those who at the very moment they could, they still have problems with their mental health. And of course, it's economically and like infrastructure is almost totally damaged, and all these kinds of things that we used to live, we used to use, but it's almost impossible now. I was really panicked in January, and I tried to tell my friends that if you want to leave Ukraine, you should do it now, because maybe it would be and almost impossible to do that. And when the war started, I was really calm. Like I understood that okay, it happened. I have to do something with this. And from the very first moment, I started to volunteer and to do some work. So I wasn't really frightened. Like first 3 weeks, I couldn't understand what's going on, because in my mind, war is really something that we shouldn't do. And for me, it was for me it was so difficult to understand that it's really happening. Russian military is really killing my people here just because they are here. And I couldn't understand that, but at the same time, I was really busy with helping people. I am a board member in the European Youth Parlia-ment Ukraine, and we have a really huge network of people around Europe. And I am also a representative of Ukraine on the national model UN in New York for the last 2 years. And we also have a huge network there. So I understood that I have to connect people in need and people who can help, so that this kind of help can be reached by Ukrainians. But to be honest, from the very beginning, it was even difficult to give a clear understanding of what's going on here, even to Ukrainians that lived abroad at that moment.
Yeah.
So like nobody could understand that we have just bombardments here. Like bombs are literally falling down to our homes. And there are a lot of tanks and a lot of military cars and a lot of planes. And they like thought, okay, it's just like they want to get our territories, and like the scenario that was in 2014, but it's not the same. And many people are kidnapped. And I remember the times when like we were sitting online in our chat, and many people were like, okay, so we need to connect people, we have to connect with humanitarian aid. I was really busy with refugees. I understand that I helped like nearly 50 people to get out of Ukraine, like personally, without the routes, without the homes to find them there. Some people were also, I helped some people to get out of occupied territories like Donetsk. And one of those women, she fled through Moscow to Europe. And it was quite an interesting experience of how people want to be safe.
That was back in
And
2014 that you did that, or just recently?
no, it was from the very beginning of this war.
So you've just,
several weeks ago.
I'm going to pause you for just a second, Mariia, because you've just spoken about so many things, and I want to make sure the details are all so clear. So you are a current law student, and you're also studying political science and German, correct? You are a member of the European Youth Parliament and a two-time Model UN delegate for Ukraine to New York City, which is like the largest Model UN in the world. So you are highly intelligent and accomplished just right there. You knew beforehand, like at least a month beforehand, how dire this situation was going to be, which many other Ukrainians that I spoke to before February 24th, who I was reaching out to and saying the same types of conversations you were having. Do you want to consider coming to America? How is your family? You know, trying not to sow panic, but seeing what could come. You saw that, you knew what was happening, because again, like you are so incredibly smart. And then when it happened, I remember you and I had a conversation about your education and how you could continue to study. And I think it's important that people know that you did consider that, you know, you did consider, how can I find a way to continue studying either in Europe or in America, because that is important. Education is so important, and it's a way that you can come and continue to serve your country and yourself and your community. But within, I think it was 24 hours or maybe 48 hours of you and I discussing that, you wrote back to me and others who were in that conversation, and you said, no, I need to stay in Ukraine. This is my place. This is where I can best help people. And as you said, you were already volunteering, you were helping in your community, you were sharing information with all those networks we've mentioned. And then that last point I want to highlight, you've already personally helped at least 50 individuals get out of Ukraine. Is that correct? Or out of occupied regions, conflict zones, however you want to describe it, into more safe areas.
Yeah, mostly it was to Europe because again, like we had a really huge network,
right?
And people were reaching to me and like, I want to help. We have like volunteers here. We have houses, and I understood that many people lost their houses here in Ukraine, and my work was to match them. And firstly, it was really hard, but then like I realized that we need a team, and now we have like 30 people in the team, and we are doing like almost everything from the information war, like giving interviews to European and American journalists, or describing what's going on, because there is a lot of propaganda, and I understand that even people who are Ukrainians, who understand Ukrainian and can like follow some Ukrainian news, they don't know as much as people living in Ukraine right now know. So it was also important, and again, helping refugees and helping like civil defense. It's important to mention that like we have army, and it's 5 times smaller than the Russian one. And obviously, when 2,000 of soldiers, Russian soldiers, were ready to invade Ukraine, we had like 40 or 50,000 of soldiers. And that's why in every town, in every city, we have civic defense. So like just random men and women who are ready to protect their city, like with whatever kind of weapon, even if it's not a weapon. I have friends of my age, so like I am 18, and I have my group mates, I have my university friends, I have my friends from the European Youth Parlia-ment who just decided that they need to go to those blog posts and helping with whatever they can help, like with their knowledge or whatever. And I have a friend who is now in really, like my close friend, who is now in really dangerous district in Sumy, and he understands that's like every hour that they have for they have the siren and they need to be ready for any bombardment, he can be killed. And this is the feeling, the feeling of death right before your eyes. It's really, really difficult to feel. And I remember even me in the same region, I was afraid to go to brush my teeth at night, because we have like this kind of measures to turn off the light in the evening. and we have time when we are not allowed to go to the street to go somewhere. It's all over Ukraine. Sometimes in big cities they have this obligatory action for 40 hours. So like 40 hours you are not allowed to go out, to go somewhere like at all, even to the shop, even to the pharmacy, like nowhere. And you have to turn off the lights. And yeah, always to be ready to go to the shelter, and better just to stay in the shelter for those 40 hours. I remember that like I am in a safe region, although I'm really close to Russian border. But I was really afraid to go to brush my teeth at night, because I could be seen, and the feeling of this like this frightening feeling of me not being safe at my home as the most, like as the safest place in the world. It was really, really weird and strange. So yeah, this is about like my personal feelings, and I had to panic several times. And the time when I was writing to you, Holly, about American University, I was considering such an opportunity, because I understood that, okay, I have quite a good CV, and I have my friends in the US, and I have people who can host me even in almost any state. But the point was that I was really panicked at the moment I was thinking about university to go somewhere. I remember I was crying for several days and thinking maybe I should go somewhere, and so on and so on. But I understand that you cannot escape war. Even if I am in the US, the feeling of my home being bombarded is still with me. And people who are close to me are still in dangerous regions. And the feeling that I am away and I have to be distracted by any other work, like studying, thinking of money, thinking of how to make my life just in any way, was really difficult to make the decision to go somewhere. So yeah, so that's why I'm staying at home. But the Ukrainian government is thinking now about the continuation of studying. Some schools, like secondary schools, they already studying distance.
Yeah, Zoom classes.
Like short lessons, but still, some students don't have the opportunity to study. What about students? All my friends who are now in universities, they are volunteering, either online, or either basically being on the blog post helping soldiers. And I understand that if we have real continuation of studying here in Ukraine for university, it would make the humanitarian help really powers, because most things that are done now with humanitarian aid and with help with like the refugees is done by students. Can
you repeat that again? You said if the studying began again, it would be powerless. Powerless, right? Okay.
Powerless, yeah. Because almost everything is done now by students, like connected to humanitarian aid. Is like almost everybody knows English and other foreign language here.
The youth know English.
Yeah, the youth, and we're really active. And this is not just about like first three top universities of Ukraine. This is about everybody, and everyone is concerned and is doing something to help. But I understand if we and we have really difficult studying, like really difficult university. It takes a lot of time, and I remember in peaceful time I slept like for 4 hours, and I had only my university and some kind of work. It was really like some kind of work that I had a pleasure to do that work. But I understand if now I have my university and volunteering, it would be almost impossible for me to continue help people. And we are now trying to get out to the our Minister of Education that is not that good, unfortunately. My university tried to make our Minister of Education leave the Minister of Education because there were some problems in education and we had protests. And if not the war, we would kick off the Minister of Education and demanding new one, really good one. But unfortunately, what happened? And now we still have this kind of bad Minister of Education with lots of plagiarism, and our students community is really concerned about what's going on there. So yeah, it's difficult that even during the war, when we are so busy with volunteering, I know like people who sleep for so like little hours because they help other people, and they understand that they need to help. And it's difficult to understand that at some point we need to fight with our ministries, but not with Russia, just because to have some time to help people. But I hope that it will be in like we'll find the solution, and we'll manage to do that because it's really important, as Belarus is expected to invade soon. And nobody knows
Yes.
what happens. Yeah, they are totally ready. I don't know what happens on Sunday because till Sunday maybe something will happen and something will change. But at this moment, everybody is concerned about Belarus and about possible invasion. And that means that not only from the sea, like
Right.
our Odessa and Mykolaiv are being shooted from the sea, from the ships. Not
Mhm.
only Kherson, Zaporizhia, Donetsk and Luhansk regions
Right.
would be shouted from Crimea side. Not only Donetsk and Luhansk and Kharkiv again and Sumy from Russian side, but also Chernigiv, Rivne, and Volyn would be shooted by
Belarus.
Belarus, and
The
that means like
Northwest.
no safe place. Like even now, even now, planes and rockets are on all the territory of Ukraine. So like, there is no safe place in Ukraine at all. So even at my safe place here, I have sirens, and I go to the shelter. And anytime a bomb can fall down, and everybody understands that. But it's important to continue our life and to manage to do something good, and to think of some pleasant moments, and to think of economy, because um, everything stops, and it's so difficult to continue this, like we have only war and nothing else. Like we have war, and we
And
have infrastructure, and we have internship, and we need to work, we need to uh, pay money to our budget, and they should think about how to continue our life. And when the war ends, uh, we will need to rebuild infrastructure, and we also need like 10 million of people were refugees within the country, and 3.5 million of people um, left Ukraine. And mostly it's about young
mhm.
people who could work. It's about children who study at schools, and it's about women who are brave enough, and who have um, some kind of skills and knowledge uh, to help Ukraine. And now they are in other countries, and I'm sure that not everybody will return here, will return home. And it's also important to understand, like, we had nearly 40 million of people, and that's a huge number. But now many people have been killed, many people have trauma, I personally know people with really huge mental problems, and they won't be able to work as they worked
No.
before the war. And yeah, so the problems are really much bigger than just, the damage to the infrastructure and economy in general, but it's about people and how they will make their life after the war ends. It's important to think about this too, how, because yeah, we need weapons, we really need like humanitarian aid, like to almost any region, and we need at least some support. And I really encourage, if you're interested in donating or whatever, don't do that to huge organizations like Red Cross or UN,
Mhm.
because that money almost never reaches us. I
Right.
personally don't know any organization, like huge organization, that is directly connected to the humanitarian aid.
Right. Red Cross
All
and
the
UN money, it's very hard to get it to the hands of
Yes,
individuals
yeah,
in the
I
countries.
never saw with my own eyes how this aid is reaching us. We had, like, if you want to donate, it's better to do through Ukrainian non-governmental organizations, because they have volunteers who do it because their homes been bombarded, and they care not because they get money for this,
No.
but because it's their home. So I am really sure that this money goes, because I have friends who do that, and who receive and who give. So yeah, it's also important. Um, so yeah, we need to think of what to do next as well, because yeah, weapons and humanitarian aid now is extremely important to stop the war. But what next is also a question, because the economy not only of Ukraine struggles, but of the whole Europe. And I guess there is no need to mention hunger in Africa because of Ukrainian war, as we have the biggest export of
Agriculture.
bread and
Mhm.
yeah, agriculture, like any kind of agriculture. And yeah, so it's about our global problems, that our countries are so connected to each other, that war somewhere in Europe means many problems to not only Europe, but also other countries. And we as people on this earth need to think about how to solve those problems. Yeah, but not to stay aside, because this kind of mm, um, being aside, like this kind of position being aside, um, then leads to more wars in the world, unfortunately.
Maria, you have hit so many points there, and I hope that on Sunday you are able to join us in case anybody has questions. Um, I think, to summarize, you've hit points of, the individual and national trauma that Ukraine is undergoing daily. Tomorrow is March 24th. We are currently recording this on Wednesday, the 23rd. If tomorrow is the 24th, which is what my calendar tells me, then it will have been a month since this officially, the invasion started. Of course, you know as much as I do that the Russian country invaded Crimea and Luhansk and Donetsk and the Donbass region before that. So this has been ongoing for much longer, and that stress and conflict and trauma has been hitting the country of Ukraine since 2014, and obviously for generations and hundreds of years before that. And you as an 18-year-old, which I kind of can't wrap my head around the fact that you are 18, but you as an 18-year-old and so many other Ukrainians are doing so much work I'm going to put my own words on it for a second, but so much work and a very strong stance of enough is enough. This has to stop, as you said, for the youth that have left or who have had to leave their homes, for the children who are not in school, for the mothers, for the women, for everyone who is in the territorial defense or the civil defense, for the buildings that have been destroyed, for the history that is being written in such a manner. It is past not okay, and it touches everyone. And are we missing anything? I mean, I feel like I could listen to you speak about all of this for days and I would still be learning more. Is there anything that Americans or other international audiences should be doing concretely? What exact steps would you tell us to take?
Exact steps, of course, spreading the information, correct information from the official sources, and from the official sources, okay, like non-government organization, like real people who speak out, because many Ukrainians speak English and they have many pages on all the social media, so that you can know more and then spread this information. So like raising awareness, but of course, if you have the opportunity to donate, and maybe it's better to do it with like real things, like not only with money, because to be honest, we have money because many people donated, but we don't know where to buy it.
And not just you don't know where to buy it, but you don't,
yeah,
like you don't have, like there's nothing in stores.
Yeah, like even
there's
in Europe, even in Europe, many things are like there is not that much to buy, and I was helping with buying some products for the government for the money that was donated to the government, and it's really difficult to find something. So it's much better to send some real products, real like medicine and so on, and just in general not to be afraid of Russia, because most my European friends is I'm really close with, like my American friends support me, but Europeans who are really close to the war, every time I speak to them, they are afraid of Russia and they are afraid that it will go further and it will take other territories and so on and so on. And this feeling of being afraid of the country that already studied many wars, I understand where it goes from. But at the same time, it's so important not to be afraid of Russia and just to do what you can do and try to fight this feeling of being powerless and become powerful. And say that if you are on the side of truth and you understand that people shouldn't die from other people just because some other people decided that the war should happen, then you shouldn't be afraid of anything. And this bravery will help you in many other situations. So yeah, I encourage you as an 18-year-old girl here in Ukraine, sitting really close to Russian military troops, not to be afraid of Russia. Because if we are afraid, then we are weak. And if we want to have a victory and if we want to end the war, we shouldn't be weak. So yeah, sanctions and helping Ukraine with military won't make Russia more powerful about the decision to invade other countries. If it wants, it will, no matter what other countries do. So yeah,
that's important. That's very important. We've already put sanctions on Russia. We've continued to add more sanctions as an international community. and it's continued to attack Ukraine at higher and higher volumes every day. So the sanctions have not deterred. When we've added aid, it has not deterred, it has not, it hasn't, what you said.
Yeah, there's so much that influence now,
Yeah.
because the decision was already made, like, to invade Ukraine, and all those news, all those pieces of news that Russia would invade Poland or Baltic countries like Estonia, Latvia, and Lithuania, they were not made because of donating weapons to Ukraine.
Right.
They were made long before the war started. And this is just those emperor ambitions that should be calmed down. And the only way we can do that just to fight together, because people who support not war but peace, there are much more such people than those who just want to get other territories. So yeah, don't be afraid of anything, and remember to think carefully before you comprehend the information, because propaganda is really strong, and I don't want it to influence people, even if you feel like this is like true. So yeah, that's everything I can say.
Those are wonderful points, and I thank you for that, those suggestions. Mariia, thank you so much for your time today on Wednesday. And like I said, hopefully in a little bit, we will get a chance to speak with individuals for their questions and answers. Obviously it's Wednesday and who knows what Sunday will bring, but thank you again for your information and your care, not only with us today, but also for your entire community and your country and your family and yourself. I truly appreciate it and am inspired by you.
Thank you, Holly.
Slava Ukraini.
Героям слава.